And now we have these ridiculous leaders that are supposed to be elected to represent us, not actually representing the true wants and needs of Canadians. And Trump's seeing that they're being very difficult to deal with. Here, let's show this quick clip of Trump saying that.
Yeah. Well, one thing we're going to be demanding is we're going to be demanding respect from other nations. Canada, we have a tremendous deficit with Canada. We're not going to have that anymore. We can't do it. I don't know if it's good for them. As you probably know, I say you can always become a state. And if you're a state, we won't have a deficit. We won't have to tariff you, et cetera, et cetera. But Canada has been very tough to deal with over the years. And it's not fair that we should have a $200 billion or $250 billion deficit. We don't need them to make our cars, and they make a lot of them. We don't need their lumber because we have our own forests, et cetera, et cetera. We don't need their oil and gas. We have more than anybody. So, just as an example, with Mexico, we're dealing with Mexico, I think, very well. And we're just, we just want to be treated fairly with other nations, because there's hardly a nation in the world, and I blame this on us, and I blame it on politicians that, for some reason, mostly it's stupidity, but you could also say other reasons, but mostly stupidity. They've allowed other nations to take advantage of the U.S., and we can't allow that to happen anymore. We have debt. It's a very small debt when you compare it to the value of the assets that we have, but we don't want to do that. We want to just have debt be obliterated, and we'll be able to do that fairly rapidly. And a lot of good things are going to happen.
Yeah, he's saying there too, in cutting off billions in global aid funding, where the U.S., Trump is saying, you know what, we're done. We need to take care of our people. We need to pay off some of this debt, get out of this deficit. And first order of business is A, slapping tariffs on everybody who is acting a fool on the global stage. And B, by cutting off these nonsensical billions, we are funding, various, especially DEI initiatives in other countries like Africa. It is absolutely insane. And Canada is doing the exact same, but we don't have any leaders on the world stage. And we don't even have anybody on the federal government level who are acting the same way and saying, you know what, why are we sending billions in aid for things like birth control in Africa when we have people here in Canada who can't even get a house to live in? It's absolutely absurd.
Tamara, can anyone blame, just being objective about what President Trump is saying, can anyone blame him for saying it? He ran on a platform of America First. His slogan is Make America Great Again, not Make North America Great Again, but America as in the United States of America. And I got to tell you, as much as I'm a proud Canadian, and I'm not making a joke here, but if we face the specter of another 4-year term of these federal liberals, and I don't care who's at the helm, whether it's Mark Carney or Where's Waldo, as they call him, he just disappeared for the past week after making his announcement, or if it's Fraulein Freeland, I would prefer to be part of the United States of America. I would prefer to be part of a country with such a strong constitution, which features the First Amendment and the Second Amendment. Because I think the death knell for Canada would be if these liberals somehow, some way got reelected. And I would do this as a bargaining position to Trump. On condition of us becoming the 51st state, which is kind of ridiculous. I mean, how can the 51st state be bigger than all the 50 states combined? Well, I think we'd have to, all the provinces and all the territories would have to be their own states. But here is the condition. You accept Canadian money at par. Can you imagine that, Tamara Ugolini? Overnight, our financial wherewithal increases by more than 30%. It's a deal.
Yeah, I'm definitely open to hearing some negotiations, because at this point, the way things are going, Canada's not looking very good, and it hasn't been for quite a while. So Yeah, I'm definitely open to hearing more and having those negotiations. And Danielle Smith, it really is like the light in all of this
Yeah.
darkness,
Oh, yeah.
who's the one who seems to be really leading the charge and leading the country through this tumultuous time. And she says here it's time for Team Canada, quote unquote, which she didn't join, to get serious about domestic energy security, nation building, and trying to grow our economy.
Well, Olivia,
And sorry,
trying to find that.
it's the video of Premier Tim Houston, who was requesting the immediate approval of the Energy East pipeline, something that Danielle Smith is also simultaneously trying to get off the ground so that we can get serious about our energy and our exports and get our economy functioning again. I mean, the economists have been warning of a recession for months now. And so this is a surefire way to prevent something like that from happening. So maybe we should just cut to that quick video of Premier Tim Houston.
Jurisdiction has unique potential impacts, but certainly during the discussion, I called for the Prime Minister and asked the federal government to immediately approve the Energy East project. That's something that they could do, and I encouraged them to do. There was support from a number of premiers on that as well. If we needed more urgency to strengthen our country, we got it, right? So we need to make sure that we have incredible natural resources. We have to recognize that and tap into that potential. That's a strength we have as a country. It's certainly a strength we have as a province. Oh, diversification it kind of goes without saying that we need to make sure that there are customers all around the world for what we have. And the United States is a huge market, and it's been a convenient customer. But now is the time to also, of course, look for diversification, not only across our country but around the world. And a project like the Energy East could move resources from the west to the east and then onto Europe. Like, it will open up incredible opportunities for our country.
Well, Tamara Ugolini, knock me down with a feather. Suddenly pipelines aren't the devil's playthings anymore. Suddenly there's some merit into pipelines transferring our energy wealth. Like I said, the world is changing every day since inauguration.
Well, and there's a progressive conservative of Nova Scotia, and taking such a drastic turn or taking a different path than our apparent progressive conservative government, Doug Ford. I mean, it's just if we want to pretend like we're on a unified Team Canada approach, let's at least get it together and try to have some unified messaging here. We have Alberta doing one thing, Quebec siding with them, Nova Scotia coming in and siding somewhat with some of what they say. And then we have Doug Ford, who's just like a fish out of water, flip-flopping every which way, doesn't know where he's going to land. And so, well, let's just call an election and hope that the riffraff sorts itself out, I guess. It's absolutely absurd. There's no other word for it. I keep coming back to absurd.
Oh, hi, it's Ezra Levant here in Toronto with an important message because we need your help. Independent journalism in Canada is under attack. Government censors, big tech deplatformers, and the dying legacy media are all working together to maintain exclusive control on the information you receive. They don't want you to hear other voices like ours, and they really don't want you to be informed and to think for yourself. That's why the work we do here at Rebel News is so important. Our on-the-ground reporting, independent news shows, and special content you won't find anywhere else. It's all designed to give you trustworthy information and alternative viewpoints so you can decide for yourself. We don't get government money, and we are not owned by some big global conglomerate. We're funded by people just like you, so please support independent journalism and help us continue our work by subscribing and becoming a Rebel News Plus member today, right here on the page. Go to rebelnewsplus.com.